I gotta love it. We have risen from the ashes to school the masses. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Scholars Wrestling Show, episode 296. I'm your man behind the microphone, Scholar Jeff. Elsewhere around the screen is the good old Tarek Two Belts, the reigning, defending Scholars of Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion and Party Champion, Scholar Tarek. How goes it, sir?
First, I'm going to go, yay, 296 episodes. We're almost at 300, baby. And also, I'm very proud of you, fool. You said last week that you would never, ever call me Tarek Two Belts. Yet, there you are, calling me Tarek Two Belts. So, thank you.
Well, there you go. You're welcome. Just thank my faulty memory because, out of all the things I remember out of that week, clearly that line is not one of them. Speaking of forgetfulness, joining us as always is our good friend, Scholar Brian. Scholar Brian, how's it going, sir?
I love the fact that you two feel like there's something to celebrate this week when really, when you look at what's been going on in the wrestling business this week, really not at all.
Yeah.
At all. That's it.
Yeah, there was quite a bit of negativity
to celebrate within this madness.
Well, you know what? Not for nothing. Even in the face of tragedy, the following days can be the first steps towards healing and moving on. And we're going to be talking about that quite a bit in this week's edition of Backstage News.
Indeed. We shall go ahead and again find someone to pull that curtain back for me, to check in on a little
Backstage
News.
Very sad week, man.
Well, we'll come up with a sound effect for that eventually, man. But yes, as alluded to, I'm sure anyone who's listening to this show right now knows we had quite a few losses in the pro wrestling world this week. We had Larry Zonka, whose work I was not familiar with, and more notably, the sudden and tragic passing of Shad Gaspard, formerly of Crime Time. This was about as shocking and sudden as these kinds of things get. Tell me, how did you guys first hear about it?
Well, first for me, okay, they actually both of them hit at the same time. Like you didn't get you got the tweet that he had been lost in the riptide on Monday morning. Okay. And at the same time, okay, a guy who I've been reading since I started watching wrestling. That's how long this guy's been reviewing shows and all that. You get that at the same time. And it's like, wow, Monday was a really shit day. and then Wednesday, it comes around like, okay, it's a riptide. Okay, you haven't found him in 2 days. Okay, it's 48 hours after the fact. If you do find him, okay, after basically, if he gets taken away in a riptide, as much as I hate to say it, and as much as all the wrestlers were trying to give hope, as much as the fans were trying to give hope, if you get taken away in a riptide, like 99% chance you're done.
Yeah,
that's it.
That was my feeling too. Very early on, I was like, he's gone.
Yeah, as soon as they said like he was caught in the riptide, he told the lifeguards to grab his son first, and when they went back for him, he was no longer there. As soon as that information hit, it was like, I hate to say it, but on Monday I was going rest in peace.
I was doing the same.
Because at that point, it's like there's not much you can do at that point when you're taken away in a riptide. You're you're dragged underneath water and they can't find you. Like if you're not found within 2 minutes of being taken away in the riptide, you're done. So the moral of the story you take away from this, okay, we already know that Chad was a great humanitarian, great human being, because we all heard about that robbery that he took care of a couple of years ago. Okay, so as soon as you heard like he got taken away in a riptide because he put his son above all and was like he told the lifeguard, take my son, come back for me. So it's like, that's all I need to know about the guy.
Absolutely.
That he went out a hero. If he had, we don't want him to go out, but if he was gonna go out, okay, and it's nice. It as much as I hate to put it this way, it's like I hate to see him go, but it's nice to have a wrestling story in this kind of fashion that doesn't have to do with drugs, that doesn't have to do with steroids. That's like he saved his kid. And that unfortunately is the reason that he's gone from the wrestling industry and from his family and his friends and all that. But it sucks that he's gone, but he went out a hero because he saved his kid. So
absolutely.
In the end, it's one of those, like, it sucks that he's gone. Should he have gotten more opportunities in the wrestling business? Of course he should have. He was awesome in Crime Time, and he was awesome to everyone that he was around. And at some point, he probably would have got that chance. Okay, but it's a horrible situation. It's a tragic situation. But if any man was going to go out, okay, it's the way that he went out. Okay, he saved his kid. That's it. So rest in peace, Shad. You're a hero. You are you're a friend to a lot of people in the wrestling business. You helped a lot of people out. I've read a lot of people's Twitters and Instagrams and Facebooks about you. You've got a legacy all your own in the wrestling industry, and it sucks that it's rest in peace, and I'm sorry that it had to go this way. I'm just thankful that you were able to save your kid in the process.
Fool, how about you?
Well, when I first really heard about the news, it was just he was missing at the beach. I was just really curious. I'm like, well, was he just partying too hard and just completely disappeared or something? And then reading more and more came out that him and his son were swimming, caught in a riptide, and I'm just thinking, oh, that's not good. And then the more came out with him saying, take my son first, come back for me, and like how Brian was saying, how just a great human being he was, a great father he was. And then when they said he disappeared, and then it was just caught in a like second hit of that riptide. He was at that moment, yeah, like you guys said. It was at that moment where you're gonna just be he's gonna be gone when the next time you find him. And pretty much the hope that I was going for is I was just hoping that they do find him, just not just to be completely gone, never to basically be seen again. At least they actually found his body and is able to put him down peacefully.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a very sad day. Another good person has to go. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, at the very least, WWE seemed to have the wherewithal to put like the best moments of Crime Time and Shad Gaspard on the network. And of course, the third segment that they had is the backstage promo with them, Vince McMahon, uh, what's his name, Teddy Long, and William Regal, where they just start dancing around and they just go, money, money, yeah, yeah, money, money, yeah, yeah. And eventually they get Regal into it. He just has this biggest shitting grin I've ever seen. It's like,
and it's like one of these. It's one of these great things where the gimmick itself is so racist, so much, but it's like the guys who are playing the gimmick roles are so into it that you can't get mad at it.
you couldn't take it seriously. You couldn't.
It really was fun to see. It really was fun. I've only seen them live once, and that was at I think that was the Survivor Series that we went to, Fool in Philly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's I think that was the only time I ever saw them in person, and just think where he could have gone. Like he was the one who had the big heel turn, and then they changed his character to try and be a legit wrestler. And then he was basically released shortly after. They didn't really do anything with him. I would love to have, especially a guy his size, I would love to see what he was capable of as a single star, but never really had that opportunity.
I just feel like with all the stuff that he was doing behind the scenes and like out public, okay, that heel turn would have never lasted.
Sometimes the nicest people always play the best villains.
But I mean, like it's
funny you say that. Actually,
it's also one of those like it's hard because it wasn't long after he was released and all that he stopped that robbery.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's like as much as you try in the show, if it comes out into public eye with your fans that he went and did that, it's like as much as you try to make him play the heel, as much as you try to make him play the bad guy, people have got to cheer him because they know that he's a fucking hero in real life. So it's one of those. He had so much that he's one of those guys that WWE definitely did not do enough with.
And then again,
a lot of guys.
But it's like he did a lot on the independent scene. Okay, Joey Janela's promotion, GCW. He was actually part of putting them on the map because they had Crime Time show up over there, and that gave them a lot of viewers because Crime Time randomly showed up on one of their first shows.
Didn't they have some kind of video package for like them getting ready to get back together to face their top tag team?
I'm sure.
I remember something like them having like their own like Rocky-esque prepping for their match video packages that was on the internet.
But yeah, this is definitely one of those. It this whole week basically, if you're not if when you weren't watching the shows and you were just looking on wrestling news, this week just sucked. This week sucked.
Yeah, and especially if we're talking about, again, if you've been following the Dark Side of the Ring documentary series, this is the one. This is the big one a lot of us have been waiting for. The episode about the last days of Owen Hart from Dark Side of the Ring. I will say this right now. This evoked a whole lot of very strong thoughts, opinions, introspections from me, just like the Benoit episode did, if not more. It was just fascinating seeing the really polarizing reactions on both sides of this issue, coming from people all across the internet, as yours included, Fool. I know I've got quite a lot to say on this. I've probably got a rant incoming. But before I do, I want to turn it over to you guys. You both said you've seen it before we started recording. So let me just ask you both, what were your general thoughts? What was your reaction? And has this changed your view on any of these matters regarding the Owen Hart situation at all?
I'll make this quick, and just so the one thing that I really got out of this is that it Owen Hart never was like 100% like, this is what I want to do. I want to be a wrestler. That kind of deal. And I was like, that was really kind of like shocking to me a little bit, because it was like he was like that, those TV shows where it's like you've got the family business and all that. Everybody's involved, and like I didn't know that Owen Hart was never like 100% completely sold, but because he was so good and because it was the family name, that's why he continued keeping on being a wrestler.
It was a job he enjoyed, but he wasn't a lifer.
Yeah. So it was one of those, when you think about it, then you think about what Vince asked him to do that night, and the fact that he went up and did it. Like, in my head, it's like, if you're not a lifer and you're not 100% into it, why?
Compensation, I imagine.
Yeah. When it came to watching Dark Side of the Ring, my initial reaction was, I guess, somewhat similar to Brian's. Like, I knew he was a man who loved his family. I didn't realize that it was like more number one than like how he is with wrestling. Like, he wasn't a lifer, but he was still into it to the point where people could think he's a lifer. And in all honesty, I always liked him more than Brett, but I was always a bigger fan of Owen over Brett. But I guess the thing that shocked me the most was just something they've done all the time. They talk about the pulley system, like the pulley system that held them up, something they've done before, and that they were trying something different, and just the tool that Martha Hart still has of the latch that was supposed to hold him, and just finding out exactly what that was, and just how, better word, cheap they were trying to make it at the risk of his safety. I mean, was it stupid on their part? Absolutely. But I mean, they should have just dealt with it. Dealt with the other thing. Who cares if it takes like 30 seconds to a minute to take it off compared to one little thing and it just pops off. But that was the hazard of it, and that was the more shocking aspect to see how WWE went more. I guess just more the higher ups of the company at that time, like Vince McMahon included, was just willing to find some ways to make the show go, like to make the thing go quicker, to keep the show going. And then my initial reaction at the end of it was just thinking, okay, I understand Martha Hart's reason for not wanting Owen to go into the WWE Hall of Fame. At the same time, I feel like it's kind of, I'm trying to find the right word for it. Like, I see where she's coming from, but I don't really necessarily agree with it. It's not like, oh, we let him in the Hall of Fame, WWE wins. I'm not letting the company that killed him celebrate him. And I'm just trying to think of it. I'm like, it's not like I don't really would necessarily. It's not like they were planning. It's like he fell. Oh well. It's not like they were doing that. I feel like she was being very, very cold about how she was explaining why she doesn't want Owen in the Hall of Fame. And I just think it's a different company 20 years ago. And it's really more for the fans' sake, that the fans wanting him to be in the Hall of Fame. So I feel like it just made her come off a little more, I guess the only word I can really think of is petty.
I'll say this,
but the son's explanation on why he's not really supportive of Owen in the Hall of Fame, I understand too, and he actually has the more, I guess, adult answer on it. But it's also at the same time I can counter. I'm like, well, I understand he's more for this community and other projects that they did, but you can't just completely turn your back on the ring stuff that he did, something he did enjoy doing. Yeah, it came off the wrong way, and especially how Martha Hart presented it. And it actually, I was never really a big fan of her to begin with, especially because I always felt like she was so, I guess, selfish and holding off putting him in the Hall of Fame. And now hearing the explanation and really analyzing what she said, and just feel like now it's more just holding a grudge, having it be the more personal reasons. It didn't help my feelings towards her on it. I don't know if it makes me sound like an asshole about how I'm saying this, but it's just how I was feeling when I watched it. I'm just like, I don't really agree with that. And it just left me, when it ended, it just left me more annoyed than anything. And seeing some people getting so emotional.
Into Jeff's rant, because I can see him ready to gear up.
Right. I'm like, you got me.
Here's
I like to build the tension. He's ready to burst, and I'm just ready to just finally pull that pin and just pop that motherfucker.
Well, that's all fine and all, but I'll get my thoughts on that little situation out of here before we let Jeff get into his rant, because I can see him gearing up and all that, getting ready. So I feel like if it was just Martha, okay, we've known for years now that she's petty. This dark side of the ring didn't really show anything different to that. Yeah, we got a clear explanation and all that. But it's one of those things for me, like, not even thinking about the family side of it, whatever. If there was a wrestling as a whole, a Hall of Fame, which I think there should be. There should be a professional wrestling Hall of Fame. Okay, Owen Hart would be a first ballot. No doubt. Martha Hart would probably allow it.
What if I told you
because
she has?
what's up?
There is actually a general professional wrestling Hall of Fame of somewhere out in the Midwest. And again, this is part of a point I'm going to raise, but you didn't even know that, did you?
I didn't.
I
But if
just
he's
found
already
about that this week.
he's in it,
Yeah, there was actually a recent photo of like 2 years ago of Martha Hart holding a plaque with a big old smile on her face.
yeah. So it's one of those as much as you're gonna hate me for saying it, okay, I'm gonna be the one to go and say it. Okay.
I'm going to say a whole lot worse than you. Go ahead.
His wife has said she doesn't want him in the Hall of Fame, in the WWE version of Hall of Fame. His son has said he doesn't want him in the WWE Hall of Fame. As much as I think he deserves to be in the WWE Hall of Fame, okay, there's no doubt everyone who has ever seen Owen Hart in the WWE thinks he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. But I can't. I'm not gonna be the one to be like, hey, okay, fuck you, Martha, and fuck you, Owen Hart's family. Okay, if they don't want to allow Owen Hart to be in the Hall of Fame because the WWE wanted him to do a stupid stunt and all that, and that's their right.
Hmm.
As I would love to see this man in the Hall. It's one of the things I want to see before I before it's my time to go. Okay, I want to see him in the Hall of Fame, but I'm not going to begrudge his family. Okay, who he's talked to. He's he's everything that has been on his mind is in their minds. So what makes you think he didn't say this is some dumb shit, but I'm gonna do it? I hate this shit, and then he passes away while doing that shit, and that and that's what's on their minds when they say they don't fuck the Hall of Fame, and if you listen to Martha Hart on the Talk Is Jericho. Okay, she brings up a good point by saying the when she was talking about the Hall of Fame with Chris Jericho, it's just like it's something they do so they can put on a so they can put on a pretty little award show like the Grammys or the Oscars before the WWE hype it up and whatever. And no, fuck that. It's
Hmm.
just it's one of those. As much as you don't know what Owen Hart was telling his family before that happened, all we know is what comes off in the interviews and the press and what the WWE says about Martha Hart. So, as much as I would love to have Owen Hart in the WWE Hall of Fame, I would love that, but I don't begrudge their feelings.
Yeah, I'm glad this conversation went the way that it did, because I feel like I've been seeing this for most of the week ever since the episode first aired. Uh, I'm glad you both brought up these very important points, especially you, Fool. You brought up something like she seems bitter.
Mhm.
Or
That's a better word.
you said a whole bunch of things that I agree with, and Brian, you said a whole bunch of things that I agree with. Uh, that being said, I feel like I've been reading the back and forth all week. Uh, as when it comes to Owen Hart, I have never really shared any thoughts because until 2 days ago, I have never heard Martha Hart's side of the story. I purposely wanted to wait and see what. Until then, I never even knew what Martha Hart even looked like, let alone what her full thoughts and words are from her perspective. But so I was really curious to see what she had to say. I was paying attention very, very closely. I watched it twice with a very critical eye, and so when I was watching it, something very interesting starting to happen. I started looking at it from a very psychological, clinical lens. Uh, I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but I have done grief counseling in my clinical work in the past as just a part of my background. So as the documentary went on, I started watching Martha Hart. I started listening to her words and her behaviors, and I was looking at this from a very from a very different perspective. And I was developing a very different take than I've ever heard anyone really say in general conversation. So, but before I go further, this should not be considered clinical advice at all. This is all just one person's opinion. I've never met Martha Hart. I've never met Owen. I do not know them. This is just strictly one person's very subjective opinion. So there's that out there. That being said, when I watched her and I heard her, what her story was and what she did and what she had to go through, I was very sympathetic. I started to really understand where she was coming from. And I get it now. I totally do, crystal clear. But the more I watched, the more that these bits, something seemed very off. And the one thought I had first and foremost was that it doesn't seem like Martha Hart has truly moved on from this. And what I mean by that is if you've ever been through a funeral, you need to grieve, but as a part of the grieving process, the last bit of the grieving process is you have to recontextualize who the person was, who the person actively is in your life in the present today. So I was watching the part where she was describing what it was like when she first found out he was dead. The words that were used were, "What am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do?" And she was speaking of taking care of her kids, because presumably Owen was the lead breadwinner in the house, and he was making a lot of money. They were really banking on that for their future. She was worried about their development of their kids. But even before that, I noticed that while I was waiting for Martha Hart to be introduced, was anyone else surprised when they introduced her as Dr. Martha Hart?
No.
Because I didn't know about before. I didn't know she was a doctor. Well,
No,
no.
didn't even cross my mind.
Well, it did. It did, and I'll tell you why. Most
Did
of
it
the
say
time,
what she was a doctor of, or did it just say doctor?
they didn't say doctor of what on the documentary, but I did some digging, and it was very interesting. I looked up what she has a PhD, what her doctorate is in, or a PhD. It's in child childhood developmental psychology or something like that,
Hmm.
which I do not find to be any coincidence, considering what we saw out of Martha Hart in the days and weeks to come. If you remember in the documentary, Oj Hart, his son, he said that she was never the same after that day. She became a fighter. Like, she just went on the war path. She was going to war with WWE, taking on all these lawsuits, going down there, looking for the truth, going on the catwalk, seeing exactly where it was, dragging her kids there, making sure they see and they know, and going in the trenches and fighting Vince McMahon with everything she has. That, again, I understand it, but I have to wonder, this is one of those things where it really does seem like Owen became a powerful, powerful motivator for Martha. Because what do you do if Owen is now your battery for your pursuit of justice? He's this motivating force in your life. What do you do when there's no more battle to fight? You find a new battlefield. You keep working. You keep going. I've seen it before. And again, this is just my hypothesis. This is all just speculation. I don't know anything for sure. But as I started watching, it seems like there's this narrative, this story became, it was like developing in my mind. So I'm not shocked at all that for someone who is looking to protect and defend and do everything they can for their family, past and present, that not only did she pursue higher education after this and a career in philanthropy, but she specifically sought out master's and PhD level programs, not just in psychology, but in childhood developmental attachment. That didn't come from nowhere. That came from a very family-oriented person,
Mm-hmm.
which again ties into Owen. Again, it all gets very, very complex. But then those questions I just kept asking myself questions. Like, fool, you brought up that the fact that she still had the clasp in question and what appeared to be a whole host of other police evidence, and just cataloging all this stuff from the case. What I was asking myself is, okay, she's still got this stuff. Why does she still have it? Is there some sort of legal obligation she has? Or is there some other personal reason why she still has this? I don't know. Again, another thing about Martha Hart never remarried. Why? She's not an unattractive woman. Did she want to get out there and nothing really clicked because Owen was so awesome? Or did she not want to really play the field anymore because Owen was her one and only, and she just didn't want to move on? And I think that's what my going hypothesis is for right now. Martha Hart does not want to move on from Owen because I don't think she knows what to do if she gets there. Because if she puts this whole thing to bed, she no longer has an enemy to fight. She no longer has a goal to strive for, because everything to do with Owen has been done. Do I agree with that? No. But I am in support of all of these people moving on, because I think it's safe to say that all of these people deserve peace, even if they're scared of what they're going to do with it. And for the record, just bring this full circle, I think Owen not only deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, but I think he does need to be in the Hall of Fame for one reason above all others. Not just the recognition and the honor, because let's be real. Martha Hart can say, "Oh, but he is in the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame." It's a really obscure one that most of people don't even know exists. The only Hall of Fame that even remotely comes close to WWE's nature of credibility with the fans and his peers is the Cauliflower Alley Club. And even then, if ask anybody, if you say, should Owen Hart be in the Hall of Fame? Everyone instinctively knows you're talking about the WWE Hall of Fame. Same thing with Benoit. Oh, should Benoit be in the Hall of Fame? Everyone knows we're talking about the WWE Hall of Fame. It's for everyone who says that it's not a real Hall of Fame, it's BS, it's just a ceremony, there's no physical location, it doesn't get voted in the same way that others do. It doesn't matter because in the eyes of a lot of the fans and his peers, the vast majority of them, it still holds weight. And it's the only notable honor that Owen Hart not only deserves, but it's the last one. So if he goes in, he should go in. This just means that it's worth it just for, again, I understand him not WWE not wanting to get any money for this, or Martha not wanting that. But as far as I'm concerned, they can very easily get it through just PR for doing the right thing. Direct any and all proceeds from it, sell a shirt, sell a movie, direct it all towards the Owen Hart Foundation. All proceeds from anything they do with Owen, whether it's appearances in a video game, a t-shirt that they want to do, direct it all as a charity fundraiser for the Owen Hart Foundation. Let him in, and then that way the fans will shut up about it. I can't imagine how much harassment Martha and everyone on their side of the family gets for, Owen Hart, Hall of Fame, Hall of Fame. Like I said,
none of them have social media at all. That's it.
Yeah, but they at least deserve that option. And even in person, people still bring it up. And if for no other reason, even if you do not like the WWE Hall of Fame, if it's done right, WWE does the right thing by Owen. And most importantly, Martha and the rest of Owen's family everyone can collectively shut up about it. There's everything that's done is done. And then Martha Hart and his family and Owen's family can finally just close chapter on this and be done with it forever. So that's why I think it should be done and why this whole case is way more complex than a lot of people seem to be making it out to be. I feel like that little rant went on a little bit longer than I thought. So
I wouldn't even really call it a rant.
It was
more of an analysis than a rant.
And you don't really let it go a lot of times on the show. So, hey.
Yeah. I was literally doing a case conceptualization on the Owen Hart case because I feel like that's one lens where no one has really taken that approach before. I really wanted to. Like even Dave Meltzer said, "Oh yeah, I heard Martha Hart's approach. I haven't really heard a good refutation for her side of the case yet." Well, there you go. I feel like I could have a reasonable debate about this because there's still some credibility to it. And it's not just, fans acting like spoiled brats and wanting what they want. There is a legitimate logic to this, more than what it seems. And I just hope that if somehow in the impossibility universe, Martha Hart if she ever does come across this little rant of mine, Martha, I care about you. I've heard your story. I get it. But I hope one day you will reconsider some of the other good that can come from this. You deserve closure. WWE you can use the WWE machine as a fundraiser for the Owen Hart Foundation, just so we can all just shut up about this and move on.
Well, you know what the problem is? Okay, it's actually not with Martha Hart or the family or anything. It's when she says something and then the WWE lawyer comes out in public and says something that completely demeans Martha Hart. Do you think that's actually going to work? Do you think that's actually going to make her want to allow Owen Hart to go into your Hall of Fame because you because she says something and then you shit all over it?
Let's be real. WWE legal team is not exactly. They've got blood on their hands just like anybody else. There's a whole lot of negligence going on, and they're going to need to answer for it. And
yes, so it's a harder situation than even anybody thinks because it's like Martha Hart might one day like uh maybe I should allow him into the Hall of Fame and all that. And then the lawyers are gonna come out and say something completely fucking stupid, like they've been doing for the last 10 years.
yeah, like,
And then she's gonna be like, "Oh, there's that out the window. We'll wait another 3 years. Try this again."
Yeah. I'm glad you brought it up, Fool. 'Cause the whole idea of, because I had the same thought that this is not this. This doesn't feel like the same company from 20 years ago, 25 years ago, whatever it is. A lot of aspects have evolved. A lot of aspects have matured. I think Vince McMahon in some aspects has evolved, but then you get a ruthless WWE corporate legal team in there, just like, guys, just back up and shut up and just play nice for once in your damn lives. I mean,
I wouldn't say
like,
Vince evolved that much, though.
baby steps, baby steps. But you know what I mean.
I do know what you mean. It's when you said that, it just made me go to the Undertaker Last Ride documentary and just how not so great he came off in that video or in that series.
Yeah.
And then just also the video footage of him in this thing. It just makes me look. I'm like, yeah, this guy is not exactly the best. It's like he's not the best guy to get around.
Yeah, this again, I'm personally saving my extended thoughts for after the Undertaker documentary series is done. And again, if I'm sure the topic of Owen Hart and his family are going to come up again in the future, and I can go on in greater detail. We can continue this discussion another time if it comes up again. But I've gone on long enough. And besides, we do have a pay-per-view coming up this weekend. We've got AEW Double or Nothing this Saturday. So before we go any further, before we close out, we got to do a quick rundown of predictions for AEW Double or Nothing. Starting with, on the pre-show, we've got Private Party versus the Best Friends for the number one contender for the tag titles. Gentlemen, who do you got?
Champion goes first. I'm gonna go with the Best Friends. I actually really like both teams, but I just feel like Best Friends have been, I guess the word is, on TV more, been exposed more. So I think they're next. Plus, you get Orange Cassidy involved. It's going to be great no matter what.
Yeah, I got to agree with you. I love Best Friends. I'm a big fan of Orange Cassidy, as I've said on this show several times.
He's our son.
I wouldn't quite go that far.
He's the son. He's the son of our doodles.
What?
You don't remember that?
Dude,
the last time we said he was the son of our doodles, where, he was the literal son to my doodle that I brought on the show.
Where was I?
I don't know. Sitting right next to me.
Oh, it was that long. Oh, I thought you meant just like a few weeks ago. Like, okay. Okay. I remember that bit. Okay, I follow, but yeah.
So yes,
we love Orange Cassidy, Best Friends.
Orange Cassidy is the son to our doodles. That's it.
You know what? I don't think Orange Cassidy is with this match because he's gonna be in the
He's gonna be
in the match after
Casino
this
Battle
one.
Royal.
the
So
casino ladder
I
match.
don't think he's gonna have anything to do with this, but
Oh,
I
he's not.
also agree with Scholar Tarek because it's basically a process of elimination with this one. Who's been on TV more, and in the last 4 to 6 weeks, Best Friends has been heavily featured on the show, so it makes sense that they'd get the next title shot. So, Best Friends for the win here.
All right. Next up on the card, we've got the big matches coming later in this, just the order I've got on the paper here. But next match, we've got Dustin Rhodes versus Shawn Spears. I guess I'll go with this one. I feel like I haven't been really seeing too much of Shawn Spears lately. So this could be a bit of a crapshoot as far as I'm concerned. This could go either way, but I'm just going to go with Dustin Rhodes on this one. No real reason in particular, but this is just my pick. I gotta go somewhere.
See, I think they're building up for something here, and this goes into my TNT title prediction later.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna go Shawn Spears here because I think that this is the point where they start actually pushing him into a bigger role than he's had so far. And it also will bring a return to the feud that brought him into the pay-per-view and that brought him into AEW in the first place. That I've been looking forward to. They kind of cut that off real quick. So now you can bring it back with a title in it. So Shawn Spears for the win here to build up for something in the future.
Fool, who do you got?
Brian really just took the words right out of my mouth. I'm also going to go with Shawn Spears because I just feel like this is just the start or something for him. That's all I got, really.
All right, next match we've got a match between a team match. We've got the Elite, Adam Page and Matt Hardy versus the Inner Circle. Brian, who do you got?
I know this actually was one of the hardest matches for me too. There were 3 matches on this card that actually really gave me trouble.
It's like I've done this so many times because I've got like WWE hive mind, and when there's dissension in the ranks, the other team will win. But it's like, but then I watch AEW, and that's not exactly true because I'm like, at this point, the entire Elite storyline is when will Hangman turn? That's it. So it's like, but it's also weird because in every match where they have that, Hangman gets the win for whether it's Kenny or the Young Bucks or whatever team he's on. Whenever the whole storyline is Hangman gonna turn? Is someone gonna turn on the Hangman? Then Hangman comes out and wins. But I don't know if they do the turn before the crowd comes back. That's the issue.
He is really thinking about this one. It's like,
but it's also like, he just had that thing on the last AEW show where he runs the entire length of a football field to clothesline the shit out of Jake Hager. So it's like, fuck it, Inner Circle.
You're going okay.
I'll do
Okay,
it.
fool.
He won't turn, but you'll get the other side of that dissension angle where maybe because apparently one of the Jacksons got hurt in that little in that little scuffle they had on Dynamite. Maybe that dude gets pinned and Hangman Page does nothing about it. So I'm gonna go with the inner circle with Hangman Page just staring at the person who's getting pinned instead of trying to break it up.
Fool, who do you got?
Well, I will say this. This one's going to be so much fun. It's just because it's going to be just one of those cinematic masterpieces that comes because of this whole pandemic
Just
nonsense.
watching on Dynamite, you could tell.
Oh, yeah. The thing with this one is that was my big question too, Brian, is what are they going to do with Hangman Page on this one? Are they going to turn him? Are they going to do something that has the Elite completely fall apart? And how I see that, it's basically them all like coming back from it's like slowly everyone's coming back from the pandemic. When was the last time we saw Hangman Page? So I feel like this is just them just getting a nice big win. I'm gonna go with Matt Hardy and the Elite. Plus, this is Matt Hardy's like first pay-per-view match there, and he has to get revenge for Vanguard 1.
As a sidebar, does anyone else want to see just like a legion of drones just like come over and just like swarm the Elite?
That would be
swarm
great.
the inner circle? That would be amazing.
But yeah, I think they're gonna save because they still want to do the War Games or Blood and Guts. You can tell they still want to do it. I feel like that's gonna be the moment where the Elite completely implode and basically be the end of the Inner Circle versus all the Elite feud. And Inner Circle will end up being the ones on top, but this is the one that's getting them all getting the band back together from the pandemic and them standing tall. But it's just going to be a repeat. They're going to stand tall, and Page is just going to be bailing out of there. He's like, "Yep, I may be back, but the whole storyline of me not being happy is still here." So yeah, I'm going to go with Matt Hardy and the Elite.
Yeah.
Elite.
I'll be honest, I was going to go with the Inner Circle at first until you bring up a very important point that they still want to do the Blood and Guts match and they're still waiting for this whole thing to roll. And honestly, I feel like that, especially if we have the best friends winning the #1 contendership, because let's be real, Hangman Page and Kenny Omega, they're still tag champs, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so if they're still tag champs, then that means we're going to have the best friends versus guys who were sort of going back and forth, a little bit shaky. So as a part of that, I was expecting Kenny Omega and Hangman Page, to actually lose to the best friends because, the power of friendship versus the power of distrust and all that. Like, it's schmaltzy, but it could work. And then that's what leads them to have a little bit of tag team discord down the line. And then we get the Blood and Guts match, and that's when Hangman Page fully turns. But until then, if that's what they're going to do,
I just have a question. Can I cash in on this show? Can I cash in on an AEW Double Nothing where the title isn't on the line with anybody else? Can I cash in?
Yes.
Oh boy.
Oh,
game changer? Huh? All right. I know somebody's going to be wanting victory now.
You sure you want to stay with that one? No.
You got the briefcase. I mean,
hey, if you cash in on me, you cash in on me. It happens. Hey, at least I was able to join your rank and being a double champion. That's all that matters to me. Doesn't matter how long I hold it, as long as I get it.
Because I let it be so.
Yeah, yeah, I'm definitely going to go with the Elite on this one. There's going to be a turn, but it's not going to be now. But it sounds like there might be a turn by someone else later in the night. Who knows? Next match, we've got Dr. Britt Baker versus Chris Statlander.
If this match actually happens.
Because here's the deal. Okay, well, watching Twitter feeds and the wrestling news
was there an
site,
update for her?
Okay, when she got, they're saying it's most likely a torn ACL.
Ah, shit.
That what happened when Nyla Rose got powerbombed on her knee.
That's what happened.
I was going to say that was there an update? Really?
It's a possible torn ACL.
So
if
yeah,
the match does go down, okay, if everything's fine, I doubt it is. But if everything's fine and the match goes down, there's no doubt in my Britt Baker's the best thing about this division right now. Okay, the work she's put in, the character she has. Okay, as much as I think that Statlander is probably the one to go up against Nyla Rose for the title, in my mind, Britt Baker should be losing any matches she's in right now. So if the match does go down and there's no injury, okay, I'm saying Britt Baker.
All right, Fool.
But there's, with what I heard on the internet today, there's no way this match goes down.
Fool, it was actually your turn to pick first, but fire away.
Sorry.
You go too fast.
I'm not mad. Let's see. If the match does happen, yes, I'm also going to go with Britt Baker. Pretty much everything Brian just said. She is like the best thing going on with the women's division. So, yeah, Britt Baker.
Yeah, I think this is going to be Britt Baker across the board. I really didn't like her at first, but now she's really starting to pick up steam. Now that she's going full on heel and she's actually got something going on for her. I dig it, and I don't have any more to say about that. However, this next match, I'm looking forward to quite a bit more than that one. MJF versus Jungle Boy. I'm just gonna say it. MJF destroys Jungle Boy, sets up for a future feud with Luchasaurus.
I'm not destroys Jungle Boy because you also want to keep Jungle Boy strong going through this because there's money to be had in Jungle Boy soon. So MJF wins via shenanigans, as he should, because he's that kind of heel. But there's no doubt that MJF wins this. Okay, he only gets by the two top dogs in the company. Okay, you want to build that undefeated streak that he has. Okay, but you at this point, Jungle Boy's got to be one of your big baby faces at this time. You can't have him be destroyed by MJF. So you're gonna have he's gonna put up a fight. He's gonna lose. He's gonna lose via shenanigans, as he should. MJF wins via chicanery.
Fool, do we have an accord?
We do. MJF. I don't think it's going to be done by any shenanigans. I actually think it's going to be a clean victory. Well, clean as, Warlow
as clean as
gets
Well, yeah, I'm
involved.
not saying
Luchasaurus
he's
gets
gonna.
involved. It's like it's at that point. It's like there's obviously going to be outside stuff, but it's not like there's going to be like a chair shot and then just pin 1, 2, 3. It's like there's going to be no disqualifications or stuff like that. I think it's
There's
going to be
gonna
a
be feet on the
Jungle
ropes.
Boy is gonna go down fighting, which he should.
I've got
He's gonna-
MJF via feet on the ropes or low blow or something like that. Not outside interference or anything like typical heel stuff. And you don't do clean, straight up clean victories with MJF. If you want to build a dick heel like MJF, okay, you do low blows, you do feet on the ropes, you do coward shit. That's MJF's character in a whole. So you'll get some of that in this match. So you can keep Jungle Boy looking pretty strong going through too, and MJF gets the win.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now we're getting into the good stuff. Next up, we've got AEW Women's Championship match, Nyla Rose versus Hikaru Shida. Who do you got?
Nyla
Rose. Go with Nyla Rose.
Okay, that was pretty quick.
Nyla Rose.
I really got nothing to say about this, really. I mean, I will say that Nyla Rose has gotten, better, has put on better matches since winning the belt. But yeah, I think keep her title reign going.
And
I'm sorry. Yeah.
I've got kendo stick right here, bitch.
I'm sorry, that was a great line. Found your candlestick, bitch.
Yeah. I'm like this.
That line automatically made me like Nyla Rose way more.
It's one of those she got suspended at the end of last year. Okay, as you know, before she wasn't that great. Okay, but when she came back, okay, since the beginning of the year, she's been getting steadily better. Okay, and the last 3 weeks or so, her work has been perfect for what the character is. So it's like, and you don't, and it's AEW, okay, they don't like to do quick title changes. Okay, so you let Nyla Rose hang on to this for a while, let her have a monster title run, and build someone up to take her down. It's not one of these. As I like Sheeta, I do, but this isn't something you can build in 3 weeks and just have a random
Mm-hmm.
and have a random challenger come and take your title. This is something you got to build.
Yeah, or at least she needs like the right build or the right person to really be the one to take her down. Again, like I said weeks ago, she's got final boss vibes. She's got Goro vibes. Like you,
Exactly.
well, it's true.
I like that.
Yeah, yeah. Nyla Rose is Goro, but Hikaru Shida ain't Liu Kang here. She needs her. Nyla Rose needs her Liu Kang. That's all I can
I
say.
was gonna say needs or Johnny Cage, but all right.
That was a $500
We need a this
kendo
is where
stick,
you fall
asshole.
down.
Exactly.
Down.
She needs a Johnny Cage to make her crush sunglasses, whatever. This analogy is going off the rails, so let's go into something a little bit more sane, like a casino ladder match.
Why not?
We've got in the casino ladder match, we've got Darby Allin, Colt Cabana, Orange Cassidy, Ray Phoenix, Scorpio Sky, Kip Sabian, Frank Kazarian, Luchasaurus, and a mystery entrant.
Here's a question. Do we want to do a prediction on who the mystery entrant is?
It's a WWE guy.
I'm going to vote no on this one. The only difference is if you think
There's
someone
too many.
if you think the unannounced person is going to win it, then you should probably have to identify who it is.
Oh, I actually have a prediction on who the mystery person's going to be. I just don't think they're going to win. Honestly, I don't know who it. This was hard because I'm just like, who can I see win this? And well, the mystery person, I'm actually going to say it's Drew Gulak.
Interesting.
Just because he let his contract run out, so he has no 90 or 30-day clause. He can just go right into this. So yeah, he's gonna be he was my mystery reveal. But really, if there's anyone who I can really see name wise, that's kind of how I decided on this one because I really had no idea. I just went with Darby Allin. I could see them use this as the like if they're gonna have the Darby Allin versus John Moxley again.
Mm-hmm.
This would be a good way to set it up, and it's essentially, I guess, a Money in the Bank esque because we don't know when he's gonna be. They don't. It's just winner gets a title opportunity.
Yeah, true.
Who knows when? Maybe, who knows if it's just gonna be instead of just at any time, like just run in the middle of the match. I don't think it's going to be. It's just like, okay, well, I'm going to cash in at this event. Pretty much instead of just showing up and cashing in, just say, this is when it's going to be. That's how I think this whole thing's going to go because I have no idea.
Yeah, interesting. All right. Brian. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, it's my turn. I got that backwards. All right.
Well, I mean, if you're not ready yet, I've got it down. So,
all right. Yeah, I'll put mine in. I just had to check on someone's status here. This is a tough call for me, but I'm gonna go for something a little bit crazy here. I'm gonna take Luchasaurus to win because I feel like that's something that has a chance of happening. As far as the mystery person, I really don't know what they're going to do for this, but the only thing that's jumping out into my mind right now for a possible mystery entrant is Pentagon Jr. He's not out with any sort of injury that I can think of. And even if he is, it's been a good amount of time for him to heal up from something. So I don't know. He seems like a big enough name that it could be interesting to see him in the same sort of multi-man match with Rey Fenix. So, plus, not for nothing, I just like Pentagon Jr. So, yeah, there's my pick.
So here's my deal. Okay. For Tarek's Darby Allin suggestion. Okay. I'm not going for anyone who's had a title shot, TV or otherwise, since before this match was announced. So Scorpio Sky, Darby Allin, they're out. Okay, I'm going for new blood, all that. So as because my first thought when he was announced, Darby Allin, I'm like, that's it, done, Darby Allin. And then it's like, wait a minute, he's already had a title shot, and he's already gone up against John Moxley, and yeah, no, don't give him another title shot too quick. That's going to be an issue. And so you get and taking into effect that NXT releases only have a 30-day no compete clause. anybody who's been released from NXT can actually make this show. They can get to this show. So WWE releases other than Drew Gulak because he waited out his contract. Whatever. I'm gonna go outside the box here. Okay, my TBA, my to be announced, Chris Hero, Cassius Ohno.
So are you saying that's Chris Hero at wins?
I'm saying that he comes in and wins.
Okay.
Because we got to think about it from not the WWE standard, but from
this wasn't a WWE standard for me. This was a more just who I can see.
Well, no doubt. But
it was either him or Orange Cassidy. I could see them. I honestly saw them pulling a Otis.
I would love to see that.
I honestly saw them. I could see them pulling an Otis and just giving it to Orange Cassidy. And then once they build them long enough,
it's also one of these.
Just watch now, because I said that Orange Cassidy wins.
You got to be willing. You got to be willing for the person to lose the Dynamite title match. Okay, because this isn't going to be a pay-per-view title match. Okay, it's a Dynamite title match. So you got to be willing to see that person lose the title match that they get. Okay, so and I'm thinking, Cassius Ohno got big, Chris Hero got big. He didn't look the way that he did in the independent scene, but he's a big name. Everybody loves him. Okay, you want a shock, you want awe, you want whatever. It's just, when you have a to be determined in most promotions, it's not just WWE, it's everywhere. When you have it to be determined, that person is an odds-on favorite to win. Okay.
A bold pick. I hope it'd be interesting see if it pays off for you.
It's one of those. It's one of those what could go wrong. There's nothing on the line for me here.
Except,
I can't cash in. I'll do it another time.
Hey, crazier things have happened. I will say that. All right. Next match in the card, the penultimate match. We've got Cody versus Lance Archer for the TNT title. Let's see. Who do we have? Oh, is it my pick?
It's your pick. Mm-hmm.
All right. My gut is telling me that Lance Archer is going to win this. Because it seems like Cody is one of those people who will never... he will check his ego at the door and not really want to win as few titles as possible in his own promotion. And with the amount of time that they're hyping up Lance Archer, they're building him up to be an absolute monster heel here. So I just don't see him winning, I don't see him losing just yet. And at the NXT title, the TNT title is the perfect thing for him right now. So Lance Archer for the win. Brian?
I am going to go the opposite way. You want to get a title over? You want to get a title over quick? You want to have your two most over guys on the roster as your two champions? Okay. That you want prestige immediately? Okay, and it sets up for something that I said earlier, and it also gives Archer a way to actually move up in the card. because I actually have plans for him afterwards. But I mean, this kid, Cody Rhodes wins the TNT title here. Okay, and then you get a feud between Cody Rhodes and Spears and Shawn Spears for the TNT title moving forward. And then you can
Interesting.
move, and then you can have Archer being the murder hawk in the world title scene. So
Interesting.
I the best move. Okay, you want prestige on your title immediately, on your brand new title. You get the most over guy in that tournament to win it. And let's face it, going through the tournament here, okay, Archer has tormented the Rhodes family. Archer and Jake the Snake have tormented the Rhodes family. So Cody gets the win here, gets his title. I think the TNT title is gonna be Cody Rhodes' title since he can't go for the world title. So it's gonna be one of those like deals where Cody Rhodes is always gonna be in that picture. So why not have him be the first?
Interesting take.
So
Cool.
Cody Rhodes wins the TNT title inaugural. Okay, you get the prestige immediately, and then it builds up Archer at the same time to move on to the world title, and you can start building up your younger guys by all going after Cody. So bam, Cody Rhodes wins.
Fool, whose side are you on?
I honestly have no idea. This is still like I have something written down, and I've been questioning it ever since I wrote it down, because it's once again one of those situations where they were booked into a corner because both guys cannot lose. Like Cody can't lose because he's been taking a few losses and all already, and I just feel like how many more times can he lose until it starts coming back to haunt him type of ordeal. And then there's Lance Archer, who they're basically been booking as pretty much an unstoppable monster who is also a complete dick because of what he's been doing this entire tournament. And even Jake the Snake has just been an asshole as well. It's that whole thing where you do want the hero to get that big hero moment, considering what he's been doing to his family. And I just honestly want to see the visual of Mike Tyson punching out Jake the Snake Roberts. I don't know. This is fucking hard.
No pressure,
because
guys.
It's a good, because both sides it's a really good argument on both sides. Do you halt Lance Archer's monster go, or do you get that really the feel good moment of Cody Rhodes winning? Do we like we? I guess I'll just go. I see the visual of Mike Tyson holding up Cody Rhodes' hand over Lance Archer's hand.
Going Cody?
Because yeah, I'm gonna go with Cody.
See, because this is the difference between we're in such a WWE mindset where the mind goes, it's one of those these people. This is a must-win situation for these people, and yet as I'm watching AEW week after week, no superstar in AEW is in a position right now for me where I'm watching where it's like if this person loses, I can't take them seriously anymore. I can't take them anymore.
Well, that's not even a question,
So it's like
really. That's not the idea I was going for. Of like, I'm not thinking, oh, Lance Archer loses, he's completely now irrelevant. That was never the intent of how I'm looking at this. I'm just trying to think of just who would really benefit. Like, is this going to be Lance Archer's Goldberg's United States title win, and he's just going to basically hold that thing forever? Or is this going to be like Cody winning, finally winning a title in AEW?
but
Like
I wasn't doing to come down on you. It's just general what I've been seeing and online and what I've been watching in other videos and that kind of deal. It's everyone is in this WWE hive mind state with predictions where they're like, this person must. Oh, they just came into the company. They must win, or else they're nothing. They mean nothing. So it's like, no. What this company is good at, okay, is they build up a person enough in the build up to their pay-per-view match that if they lose that pay-per-view match, they're still a badass. They did they just lost on that particular night. Okay, because you have that 3 or 4 months of build up before the pay-per-view. So you can make that person look as big and as bad as where if something happens and there's a fluke victory or whatever and or Cody Rhodes beats you, okay, it doesn't bring you down a peg. Whereas in the WWE, where you're in like a 3 to 4 week basis or whatever, you book yourself into a corner all the time, and you've got people shouldn't be losing, and it causes a whole shitstorm and whatever. So it's the difference is like nobody gets hurt here by a loss. It's not like Cody Rhodes loses. He still is your top guy tomorrow. If he he's still your top guy on Sunday if he loses on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things. Lance Archer still badass on Sunday if he loses on Saturday.
And on that note, it's for that same exact reason that, again, we're moving on to the main event, Jon Moxley versus Brody Lee for the AEW World Championship. Sharing that sentiment, I'm going to go with Brody Lee to win the AEW title for two main reasons. Number one, the numbers craziness with the entirety of the Dark Order just converging on Jon Moxley. Not for nothing, Jon Moxley, he's going to be a grade A top main event badass for as long as he cares to be. This can be more an Austin-esque run for, yeah, you screwed me over by bum rushing me with your little minions, and now this is going to be part of my fight to get my stuff back. So, yeah, I'm going Brody Lee.
I'm going the complete opposite way with the same kind of deal because this is the same as Archer for me. Okay, if you had asked me this 3 weeks ago, before they'd started this whole thing, they started this, I would have said Brody Lee can't lose. Okay, but they've built him up in the last 3 weeks. Okay, here's the storyline going in. Okay, Brody Lee has Jon Moxley's title. It's around Brody Lee's waist. Okay, he's not winning that match. He comes in with Moxley's title around his waist. My deal here is they had to find a way to make Brody Lee be able to lose without making the Dark Order look horrible in the process. And they found that way. Okay, Brody Lee has been just awesome since he came in, but I think with that character, you don't need the title to continue that storyline. And him losing to Jon Moxley will not, as of 3 weeks ago, it would have hurt Brody Lee. As of now, it will. Okay, so
I thought you were done. Sorry.
And also, okay, for my taste, it's too soon to you don't want to set a precedent of one pay-per-view between title changes. You don't want to go WWE style with that. Yeah, he's had a title defense against Hager, but I think he needs a pay-per-view title defense. Okay, and this is your top guy. Okay, Jon Moxley is your top guy. Okay, your two top guys need to be champion coming out of this pay-per-view because this is your WrestleMania. The company has said this. This is their WrestleMania. Okay, so your two top guys need to be champions coming out of this pay-per-view. That's another thing that went into my Cody prediction, and that's what's going into my Moxley prediction. He hasn't held the title long enough, and this is for Brody Lee to show that he can do singles. Because WWE never allowed that. But they're not going to give him the title in his first singles match. That's not how this shit works. So this is going to be another Jon Moxley overcoming the odds, maybe doing the as Simon from What Culture puts it, maybe the most devastating move in sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up or whatever. So this isn't going to be a dominating victory, but I've got Jon Moxley to retain.
Fool, take us home. Who do you got?
I am also going to go with Jon Moxley retention. Just mainly, it's too soon in his title reign for him to drop it. And I think it's just going to be a mix-up by minions of the Dark Order accidentally screwing this up for Brody Lee, and he's gonna pull his McMahon ego out during the match, and it's gonna be like just where Moxley's gonna strike and pull the victory on it.
All right.
Oh, Brody Lee's winning it soon, he's gonna win it, just not now, not in his first attempt at it. He still has to perfect the Dark Order before he can be able to perfect All Elite Wrestling by winning the AEW World Heavyweight Championship.
And there you have it.
They'll need
That's
Moxley versus MJF for the title.
Oh, don't tempt
Eventually.
me with that just yet.
Oh, I'm
And
tempted, and I'm calling it. That's
those
all
are our
out, baby.
those are our predictions. AEW Double or Nothing. Now we turn it over to you, the wrestling listening, viewing audience all across the internet. We want to hear from you. Who do you think is going to win? Let us know in every YouTube comment, every Facebook post, every Twitter posting all across the internet. Let us know what you think, starting with at Twitter at ScholarsOW for all the latest episode uploads, including this one. And you can also join us in the conversation by following us on our individual Twitter accounts. Fool, where can they reach you?
You can reach me at the Avataric.
Scholar Brian, where can they reach you?
You can reach me staring at my non-existent briefcase at the Talking People.
And you can find me at I'm Robbie Rage. Join the conversation. It's always a ton of fun and a lot of insane shenanigans where we're just ranting about things for hours at a time. But then again, you already knew that because you know who we are. We are the Scholars of Wrestling, and you have just been schooled. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Welcome.
See you all at Double or Nothing.